Hello and welcome to Governance, Risk Management and Compliance videos. In this video, we will discuss about the very important compliance job interview question. But before that, I have a question for you. Are you planning to give an interview for the position of compliance officer or compliance manager in any organization or institution in any country? Like for example, in the United States, Dubai, Malaysia, Singapore, Australia, New Zealand, or do you have previous experience working in the compliance function as the compliance officer or manager? So if you have the previous experience working in the compliance department or compliance function, then you must be aware of the key roles and responsibilities that a compliance officer performs in the first 10 days. So let's discuss what is the question and that may be asked in the interview. So the question is, how will you spend your first 10 days as a newly appointed compliance officer or compliance manager in the company? Your interviewer will or should ask this question because the compliance manager or compliance officer role is very critical and it should be planned in a logical manner. And in continuity, another question would be, what critical tasks will you prioritize and focus on during your 10 days or initial days? So let's discuss. So one of the parts of the question is, how will you spend your first 10 days as a newly appointed compliance officer? So you should structure your answer in such a way that you should say that I will be doing meeting with the chief compliance officer, who is the compliance head, and I will also meet with other compliance team members, and the purpose of this meeting will be to have an understanding of the overall compliance environment, compliance culture, compliance breaches and issues, and critical laws and regulations that are in consideration during the days when you are appointed. This meeting will give you the overall idea of how the Chief Compliance Officer and compliance team want you to prepare for your rest of the initial 10 days. Then you will say that after meeting with the Chief Compliance Officer and the compliance team, you will start gathering the compliance policies and procedures, like for example, the anti-money laundering policy, sanctions policy, negative list or media policy, environmental, social and governance policies, and similarly other KYC and due diligence related policies you will be gathering, and you will perform a brief review of those policies and procedures, and just to understand how much detailed those policies and procedures are and whether they are updated or not. Then you will say that I will review the compliance review reports that are previously performed by the compliance team, and the purpose will be to identify the high risk factors, high risk areas, and high risk breaches that actually occurred in the organization. Then you will say I will perform the review of internal audit reports as well, because internal audit team also highlights the compliance breaches, especially those compliance breaches which are very critical and that are linked to the relevant laws and regulations. So you will identify those compliance breaches that are reported by the internal audit department in the internal audit reports. Then you will say that you will also gather the risk management reports from the risk management team or department, and the purpose will be to identify the risk or relevant issues, or you can say the risk lapses or incidents that are directly or indirectly linked with the critical laws and regulations that are under consideration of your compliance team and chief compliance officer. Then you will say I will perform the review of the regulatory inspection reports that are submitted by the regulatory authorities, and the purpose will be to identify the critical observations and critical breaches that are identified and reported by the regulatory authorities to the management of your company, and you will sort out the regulatory breaches in the critical manner. Meetings with stakeholders, you will also perform the meetings with the stakeholders, and the purpose of the meeting will be to understand the mindset of different departmental heads and employees working in the organization and company, and you will also try to understand the behavior of those employees and stakeholders towards the compliance environment and applicable laws and regulations. Now you remember that one of the parts of the question was what tasks will you prioritize and focus on. So you will structure your answer in this way that you will say I will start developing the compliance checklist. If the compliance checklists are already in place, then I will perform the review of those checklists and I will map the checklist against the internal compliance policies and procedures and critical laws and regulations. Then you will say I will put my focus on high risk areas that I will identify from meeting with the chief compliance officer, compliance team, meeting with the stakeholders, reading the reports like internal audit reports, compliance reports, risk management reports, etc. Then you will say the task I will prioritize will include developing the compliance review procedures if I will find anything that is missing in the existing compliance review procedures. Then you will also perform the gap analysis of the compliance policies and procedures against applicable and critical laws and regulations that you might have read or understood during your initial 3 to 4 days. Then you will perform compliance reviews, and this will be the actual field work that you will be performing, either on-site reviews or off-site reviews, and you will focus on high risk areas. High risk areas are especially those areas that involve the movement of cash or funds or financial affairs of the organization. And similarly, the customer service area is very critical. Customer onboarding process and due diligence processes, these are the critical areas that you will put your focus on during your initial 10 days. Then after performing your compliance reviews of certain high risk areas that I mentioned, then you will say I will prepare or draft a compliance review report, and the report will cover the area or high risk area that I performed compliance reviews on, and the identification of compliance issues or breaches noted during my compliance reviews, and the suggested recommendations to the relevant stakeholder. So you will be performing the process of drafting the compliance review report after your actual compliance reviews of certain high risk areas, because you are doing your job in your initial 10 days, so you might not have enough time to go and review each and every process. So you will identify 2 to 3 critical high risk areas, like for example customer onboarding process, due diligence process, customer service or customer complaints management process, etc. Then you will perform your compliance reviews in light of applicable laws and regulations and internal compliance policies. Then you will draft your report for those high risk areas. And after drafting the compliance review report, you will submit the report formally to the chief compliance officer. Formally means through the proper official channel. Like for example, if there is a culture of sending the email to the chief compliance officer, then you will properly draft the email, and in which you will mention your approach towards performing your compliance reviews, and you will attach the review report that you have developed or drafted, and then you will submit that to the chief compliance officer or head of compliance for his or her review. Then you will also perform the follow-ups of the review points that might be given to you by your chief compliance officer, and you will also follow up with the relevant stakeholders for whom or in the area where you have identified the compliance breaches for those stakeholders. So you will follow up for the implementation of recommendations that you and your chief compliance officer might have recommended to those relevant stakeholders, like for example in the due diligence process, to the branch managers or to the operations head, etc., etc. So these will be the critical tasks that you will be performing, and thank you for watching the video. And if you have not subscribed this channel, please subscribe this, and I will again request you to go through this video again, because this is the very important interview question that is usually asked by the chief compliance officer or the compliance committee or the chief operating officer of the organization. And mostly people get confused and they start giving the general questions or general answers to the questions that have asked. So this is the area that you should have understood, and then these are the critical tasks that you will be prioritizing and focusing on. Again, thank you for watching. Please do watch other videos on this channel, subscribe the channel, share the video with your friends and colleagues, That will be a support for me, and it will motivate me to upload other videos for your education and knowledge purposes.